Hi, welcome back to Project Live Awake. My name is Jana, and I help people master their mindset, raise your vibe so that you can truly live a beautiful awakened life. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the stages of awakening. So stick around. Okay, so chances are, if you're watching this video, then you are in the process or have already awakened. What I really want to start off on here with this is, I think maybe this was just my misconception early on, but I feel that there is this misconception out there that awakened is like you wake up one day and that's it, you're done. Everything changes, there's no looking back, and you are just an entirely different being, have an entirely different sort of experience. And maybe that is true for some. I cannot speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself in that, just doing the research that I've done and coaching the people that I have and just working with others through this process as well as myself, that there's a lot of different stages involved, and not necessarily is it just a linear sort of process. So I've narrowed it down to 6 stages. But, you could probably do more. And in fact, you could, if you really wanted to break it down, you could probably do 10 to 15 to 20. And, honestly, guys, I'm still having other awakenings. So it's a process like peeling of an onion. But I do think the beginning stages and just kind of what gets you to the point of really just that permanent shift that everybody talks about, there are several different things that people by and large go through. So the first one is some sort of tipping point. That tipping point could be as simple as there's got to be more to life than this. I'm not happy with my current situation, to a dramatic life-changing event. The reason I feel very much, in fact, I wasn't even going to do this type of video, but in my meditation, it just came through that this is something that just needs to be discussed over and over and over because of where we are right now. It is May of 2020 when I'm recording this video, and we are in the middle of a huge shift. A lot of people are at home now. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and a lot of what we are all experiencing, the level of fear that many are experiencing, is that tipping point. And so that's really why I want to dive into this topic and just look at it from all sides. So, the main kind of principle of this is there has to be more, and I am willing to entertain the idea that this isn't working for me. And so, I think a lot of people aren't happy, and they even maybe recognize this, but the willingness to look at something else and to think outside the box, or to perhaps go in a different direction. That's the difference. It's kind of like that tipping point of, do I just want to deal with things the way they are and just know that I'm just not that happy? Or am I willing to do some things to change, knowing that with that could come uncertainty and all of these things, but at the end of the day, I know that I'm going to be more true to myself. So it's really answering that call. It's answering that call to say, I'm ready. I know that things can be different. I recognize that I'm discontent. So whatever that reason may be. And so that really brings us to the second stage that I think so many I hear go through, and just, even when I'm reading some of the big gurus, if you will, out there, everybody talks about this stage of questioning. Vishen Lakhani talks about these rules, which are BS rules, and just starting to question that. Like, do I really have to have a 9-to-5 job? Do I really have to be paid for my lifetime? In these hours, making somebody else rich, essentially. Do I have to do things the way that society tells me I have to do things? Do I have to watch all the different TV shows that everybody says are the things you should watch? So it's this unwinding of the cultural norm. And you just start to question. You really do. You just think, what more could there be? And what really starts to happen, I feel like, during this phase too, is there's a lot of mixed in with these questions. There's a level of excitement, because you're starting to feel like you're figuring things out for the first time in your life, that there's more. And there's almost, it's kind of weird, because there's this sense of fear of the unknown, but there's also this sense of relief that this isn't all there is. So, a lot of people spend a lot of time there because it is an exciting place to be. And you start looking into more information and books, and you just read and consume. And that part is great, but at some point, which brings us to phase 3, you enter this sort of cocoon phase. And the reason I just called it the cocoon phase is because there's no going back. It's like you can't unknow what you know now about our existence, about the fact that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and that there is more. There is so much more that we have not been taught about the reality that we live in. And once you start to know these things, you know you're no longer a caterpillar, but at the same time, you're not a butterfly. So you're in this cocoon phase, and it's an inward phase. It's a seeking within phase. This involves a lot of meditation. You really start to self-reflect. You start to ask questions like, who am I really? What is important to me? What do I want out of life? And you just really start to connect with that part of you that's really been ignored, frankly, for the outside world, at least for a lot of us. And you just really begin to have those conversations internally. But I also think of it as a cocoon phase too, because now that you're no longer a caterpillar, so many of your old world is now kind of crashing down. And a lot of your caterpillar sort of tendencies and things that you really enjoyed, or felt like you should enjoy, you're sitting in your truth now, and you don't. And that can look like things that used to entertain you no longer do. It can be certain friends, certain types of conversations, current events. There's just so many things that just no longer interest you, and you kind of feel a little isolated, or at least I did, a little lost here, because the truth, you feel it, you really begin to feel that you're on the right path, but your whole identity is now kind of gone by the wayside, and you're not exactly sure where to go from here. So it really brings us into step 4, and that is a lot of self-healing. And this is also done through meditation. You really start to look at your ego. You become less identified with your ego, more identified with your higher self. You start to see so many of the beliefs, so many of the thoughts, so many of the judgments that you used to have were ego. And you're no longer serving that part of you, and you're working on letting go and exploring blocks, and just really starting to look at, some of the things that maybe were holding you back, looking at things that are no longer serving you. And so that's really step 4. And then step 5 is you begin to emerge from this sort of self-reflection with a deeper connection and just feeling of support, and you feel guided, and you also feel like you're starting to step into your true authentic self. You start to rise above or even transcend certain situations. You have this ability now through meditation to, I talk a lot about this in my videos, to look at your thoughts and your beliefs, and And knowing, even in that moment, you know, without being in meditation, like, that's not going to serve me. I'm going to choose differently. And you start to navigate from that mindset. So, you know, you really do start to tap into that seat of self, and you really just kind of go about your life from that place. Now, this is something that I think might surprise you, and I'd love to hear in the comments below if anyone else has experienced anything like this, because I know that it really doesn't get talked about a lot, but I want to just put it out there, and this is really based on my own experience and just, you know, people that I've worked with, and that is, you know, you do go, I think, steps 4 and 5, it's kind of like an upward spiral. Like, you're still going upward, but, you know, you still get dragged back down into those older patterns, you know, into that ego. You may have mastered certain pieces or relationships or parts of you that you've looked at and let go of, but then there's still other opportunities to grow and to heal. So you kind of are doing this kind of tug-of-war between your ego and your higher self, and how to just navigate in certain situations, because even though we're able to really separate ourselves from a lot of our beliefs and a lot of our emotions around certain things, there's others that we still feel very much attached to and very much controlled by. So it's kind of, you know, you're still progressing upward, but it's not a linear sort of progression. And I just really wanted to address that. It's more of like an almost spiral that kind of dips back down, but you know, you're still moving in that upward ascension direction, but not without struggle, not without, you know, really having to look at certain things, and sometimes feeling like you've gotten off your path, or you're headed backwards, or you're regressing, but that is just part of the process. And, you know, sometimes we do have to spill back over into some of those older patterns or habits to really see them and to sit with them and to then propel ourselves forward. So, and so that really brings me to step 6. And that is when the permanent shift really does occur. You have totally tapped into your authenticity, your true self. You know, you're feeling in that connection with everything. You are love. Everything is love. You live your life with that as the main priority, is to just spread that love and spread that light. And you just really feel like you are in joy. And that is when you, no matter what situation presents itself to you, you do have the ability to look at it and to rise above it and just see it for what it really is, and act from that place of love, and responding rather than reacting, and just knowing that you're taken care of. You're fully in trust, fully in surrender, and knowing that the universe has your back no matter what. So so I just wanted to lay that out there. Guys, I try to make videos that, if I think back about my awakening and what I needed and where I had so many questions, and this is the kind of stuff I really would have loved to have known, so that when I did kind of spiral a little bit, or when I did have a bad day, that doesn't mean that you're not progressing. That doesn't mean that things aren't moving forward. It's just, you know, it's not a linear line. It's just like anything else in life, you know. It's complicated, it's raw, it's beautiful, it's challenging, it's all of those things. But you do reach a point when that permanent shift occurs, so that when you do really, whenever a challenging situation presents itself, you're already asking yourself what, you know, because the universe is happening for you, not to you. So you're already approaching it with that mindset of, okay, what can I learn from this? Why is this coming up for me? How am I to grow from this? And just having that be a part of you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and please subscribe so that you can hear more on this topic. And I am open to suggestions, so please also, any questions that you guys are having, feel free to leave them in the comments. I am happy to take requests. And if you really, really like what you're hearing, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can get notified when I do my next video. I put out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. And do not forget, we have live meditation every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for now, thank you so much for watching and keep shining your light.